Welcome. This is Gary Sultan, Chief of R&D and creator of Iopt technology. This video examines a concept unique to Iopt, the split style. Let's begin by defining what we are talking about. A split style happens where a person's two most likely responses to a situation are opposite. That is, opposite in information processing terms. The information accepted as input and the intended output are diametrically opposed. This results in inconsistent behavior. This can happen for no apparent reason. In one situation, the person may be thoughtful and studied in their approach. In the very next situation, they may be spontaneous and impulsive. This is not the same as psychology's split personality, or dissociative identity disorder, as it is now called. Iopt split style has nothing to do with a person's identity. It is just a strategy for processing the information necessary to live. Further, it is not a disorder. It is functional. It works as a way of conducting life. So, exactly what is a split style? Well, each of the four basic Iopt styles creates a characteristic behavior pattern. The reason is that information determines what you can and will do. For example, you can't act on something you do not know. Here is a real example of a split style from our database. This person bounces between new ideas, Iopt's relational innovator, or RI style, and the methodical execution of standard techniques, Iopt's logical processor, or LP style. In one case, they are creative. In the next, they are traditional. In one situation, they are action-oriented. In the next, they are just offering ideas and thoughts. Now exactly the same thing happens on the other Iopt axis. Here is another example from our database. When working as an HA, or hypothetical analyzer, this person uses a thoughtful and comprehensive approach. The target is an evaluation, plan, or assessment. In the next situation, we may find that person using only information at hand and applying expedient methods to resolve the issue quickly. This is the Iopt reactive stimulator, or RS approach. Again, diametrically opposite behaviors. In one case, thoughtful consideration. In the next, instant action. But notice, it is not the method selected. It is the sequence of methods that is the issue. Standing on its own, every method works. For example, brain surgeons tend to use the careful, methodical, and thorough strategy of the LP. Would you want anything different? The idea-generating RI helps get entrepreneurial startups off the ground, along with the jobs that these firms create. The instant action RS is ideal in a crisis situation where the result is more important than the method. If your heart stopped, you'd want it restarted, fast. Just how it's done is of secondary importance. And finally, a judge facing a complicated case would find good use for the thoughtful HA strategy. Since every Iopt style is useful, what's the problem? For the individual using a split style, there is no problem. They are just using a strategy that seems to fit the issue at hand. In a team context, however, things change. People have to be able to anticipate each other. For example, a player in a team sport has to be able to predict the movements of others. If they didn't, no pass would ever be completed. A ball has to be thrown where the other player is going to be, not where they are. To do that, you have to know where they are going to be. The same situation happens in a work team. People act in anticipation of the actions of others. If they had to wait to be told, productivity would plunge. For example, if people know that you want detail, they can prepare for your likely demands. If they know that you don't want detail, they can avoid doing the extra work preparing for it. Being able to predict is essential for the efficient functioning of any coordinated group. So, what's this all got to do with split styles? People predict based on past behaviors. Usually, a person's behavior has a theme. For example, a person favoring an LP and RS as their primary and secondary strategy will show a common action theme. Someone using the HA and RI strategies will favor thought-based outcomes, ideas, plans, theories, things like that. The same commonality happens with any of the adjoining styles on the Iopt graphic. These commonalities form the foundation for reasonable predictions. In the case of split styles, things change. Everything is different. There is no common theme. This makes prediction and coordination an inherent problem. About this time, you might be asking, isn't unpredictability itself predictable? Wouldn't people come to expect the unexpected? The answer is no. People do not get a lot of experience with split styles. Only 12% of the 42,952 people in our sample use a split style strategy. Noticeable, but not a lot. And that's not the end of it. That 12% is broken into two distinct groups, the HARS and the RILP. These split styles behave differently. People do not necessarily connect the dots and see the similarities between the two groups. Since both groups appear with about equal frequency, people will see recognizable split styles, those that show a consistent pattern of inconsistency, only about 6% of the time. The 12% total has been divided into two halves. And there's still more. Split styles come in different strengths. Mild and moderate account for about 3/4 of all splits. At this strength, contradictory behavior happens less than 10% of the time. This is easily attributable to random causes. So, we can cut the 6% by 75% to reflect these infrequent displays. This leaves about 1.5% of the population actually displaying recognizable split-style behavior. At that level, there's not a lot of motive for trying to figure out how to predict inconsistent behavior. So, people don't. The next step is to figure out how big of a group issue splits are. In over 4,000 different teams in our database, at least one split style appeared in 64% of the teams. If you are advising teams, the chances are better than 50-50 that the team you are advising has a split style as a member. Is a split style all bad from an organizational viewpoint? No. There has to be a positive factor offsetting the inherent coordination problem. We can see this by looking at the percentage of splits by organizational rank. This chart shows that split styles appear at about the same level at all organizational ranks, from CEO to staff professional. Think about it. We know that there is always a coordination negative with any split style. But if that was all there was, we would expect that this would show up in poor promotional potential. It doesn't. That means there must be some positive offsetting it. From pure Iopt theory, the only advantage that distinguishes a split style from the others is a broader behavioral range. This is likely to create enough of a positive to offset the coordination negative. This logic is a bit speculative, but the fact that there is some kind of advantage is not speculative. It has to be there. So, what are the implications of our research? One obvious inference is that if the negative element is removed by greater transparency, only the positive would be left. The split style needs only to tell people what his or her intended direction is on an issue. That takes away the need to predict. Bingo! No more problem. This strategy rebalances the scales. Cost is reduced, and the undefined but real advantage remains untouched. Once the existence of a split style is known, it is hard to see why anyone would not pursue this as an opportunity. The cost is low and the benefits are high. Finally, this video is an abbreviated version of a split style research blog on garysalton.blogspot.com. If you want to learn more, I encourage you to go there. It's a bit more academic in character, but provides much more information on the split style phenomena. Thank you for viewing this video. If you want more information on Iopt, you can go to our websites at iopt.com or oeinstitute.org. Both sites have much more information on how Iopt can be used to improve the functioning of both individuals and groups. Thank you again for your interest in Iopt technology.